I'm very well. Get my audio up. Well, I tend to usually start things off, I guess, so I'll just keep doing that.
Awesome.
Pirates.
Pirates.
What how did you come about, with the show, with the creation of it? What led you to creating Black Death?
It felt like a genre that hadn't really been explored, certainly not in TV for a while. And I think that was the initial sniff, I guess, that drew Robert and I to direct. But it was really when we started doing research about it that it became clear what we had seen, which is essentially a brilliance of stories that all really come from Treasure Island. It doesn't come from the and Treasure Island, in and of itself, is already a little bit sanitized, but certainly a far more romantic version of that world, and in some ways a bit of a cartoon. It's a story for children, and I think it's a great story for children, but everything else that came after that was so terribly influenced by it. We wanted to tell the other story. We wanted to sort of dig past that and get into the reality of it and understand what it was like for these people to feel like when they woke up in the morning, they had to take something from someone else in order to survive. And right or wrong, or whatever judgment you want to impose on it, that's a desperate situation. And certainly not as much fun, I wouldn't think, as Errol Flynn seems to be having when he's doing what he's doing. And that wanted to be a show. That felt like it was so many different things all on top of each other. They're a biker gang, they're a labor union, they're a startup company, they're all of these things all wrapped up into this into a giant action movie. And I think where it really took off was when the idea is fun. It doesn't mean anything to anybody else unless you can find people who are willing to pay for it, and willing to contribute their expertise to it. And I think between Michael and Stars, we really lucked out. We got both of those things. And Stars they jumped in with both feet. They wanted to be able to tell this story in a fully realized, uncompromising way. That means subject matter, that means action, that means scope, that means everything. So at this point, we're just kind of hanging on for dear life and trying to do the best we can with the story.
Well, we were talking a little bit earlier about Bonny and having female pirates on there, which I think is absolutely fascinating. And I'm curious because there was another female pirate. I'm wondering if she's going to show up on the show and some interesting stuff that you learned about them.
I think what was interesting about Bonny. Something or big action or whatever. It's a character. I mean, it has to be. This is what they did. So I don't know that you can fully tell this story without telling that story. At the same time, I think we're very committed to Nassau always being a place we want to come back to, and making sure that the emotional stakes and the emotional story happening on that island is is always as compelling as we can make it.
You're working with Michael Bay on this show. Obviously, he is a powerhouse in Hollywood and also has a bit of reputation. What's it been like working with him?
It has been, honest to God, it's been a dream. I mean, we have gotten the best of him in terms of the things that he does better than anybody in the world. Building the look of the show, sets, vis effects, our crew that we hired, color. I mean, all of the things that there just isn't anybody better at. And he's also been really respectful of the story that Robert and I want to tell. And so you get it all. You know, you get the freedom to tell a really gnarly story, and you get the help to make a show that, I don't know that there's any, you can count on one hand the number of people in the world that can do what he's done for us. So it's been great.
I'm trying to imagine what the casting call for the Pirates was like. So
we saw some stuff. It's part of we're trying to upset expectations. So I think what we're always looking for is what you don't expect for it to be. And I think at the end of the day, what we're looking for is people that feel like people you want to spend time with. That in one way or another are interesting or they're human beings. And I think we got very lucky with the ones we ended up with. So.
Can you talk about your reaction to finding out you got a second season before your first season aired? I mean, that has to be
that's
a
weird,
once
right?
in a lifetime. Yeah, I mean, that's got to be a once in a lifetime thing.
Yeah, I'm not counting on that happening again anytime soon. I think some of it is you can only really shoot in Cape Town for part of the year, and the show is so complicated in terms of post and in terms of prep that we almost needed to do that in order to be able to keep our schedule. But at the same time, and I think it Stars saw the reaction they were getting, and I think, which was kind of confirming their suspicion that we have something here. And so it's nice, it's nice that they were that they had that kind of faith in the product, that they were willing to throw money at it and to not just tell us they liked it, but to actually prove it.
Speaking of preparation, what were the pirate consultants that you had to find to make the show?
We worked very closely with a guy named Ben Little, who is an ex-Navy SEAL, and left the Navy and started writing about this time period. And so everything that it was deliberate in the sense that everything we get from him it's part historical consultant, but it's also part tactical consultant. We wanted to understand what somebody who has been trained to deal with this stuff, to swim up to ships and take them, and to live in the water, and to do violence in the water when necessary, what that person thought about how these people live. And it kind of imparts everything with them, a real life experience that hopefully translates through to what we're putting on screen.
What can we expect from the structure of the first season? Will it be episodic, character-driven, or is there a plot that the first season will cover?
It is, I think, as much as I would tolerate as an audience an 8-hour movie. There's episodic structure, but I think that ultimately it's very serialized. And I think the benefit of doing it in the environment we're doing it in the Stars is that they were fully supportive of that. So it's the story that starts on page 1 really is the story that will carry you through the whole first season.
What's your biggest challenge shooting on pirate? I mean, obviously it's a set, but what's your biggest challenge shooting on these pirate ships?
How long do you have? I mean, it's complicated. These things don't come with an instruction manual. You build these giant ships, and then you figure out what all the problems are. I mean, these ships have sails. These sails, when they go up, catch wind, and then the ship wants to go, but you don't want it to go because it's sitting on a gimbal. So, there's a very narrow band of wind speeds we can shoot at when the sails are up. It's the stuff like that we were all aware of, but that you don't fully appreciate how challenging that can be to your schedule when you're beholden to, what's the wind speed today and which way is it blowing. It's a deal, I mean, I think there are a lot of good reasons why this show hasn't been made before, which honestly we're still figuring out. But you just got to decide. At some point, you just got to decide to do it, you have to have a lot of people who decide to do it with you, and hopefully we're all going to make it through the other side.
What was the impetus for using Treasure Island as a jumping off point as opposed to just creating a show of, Pirate Bob and his gnarly crew?
I would watch the Pirate Bob show. That sounds cool. I might be alone, though. I feel like at a certain point, to make something this big, you kind of have to, and not only that, but to make something that is this intentionally designed to upset your expectations of something that you have an attachment to. I think you got to give people an entry point. You have to give them something that they can wrap their heads around at the beginning. And like I said, I think Treasure Island is the beginning of everything you've seen. It's all built out of that, and so it felt right that story kind of gave rise to everything after it, that we were going to go in the other direction and build it backwards and try to link it up with the historical material that it was drawn from. So it just felt right.
Our time is up.
Great, thank you.
Thank you guys.
Anytime.
Thank you so much.